Hi there, everybody. I am Moosestaffa, and I've got something to show you today. We were sent some products from Moza Racing. You might be familiar with them for wheels and shifters and things like that, but they have a flight simulation line now, and they've sent me the Moza AB9 base, which is this behemoth right here. So, my goodness, this thing, I can't convey what the weight of this thing is on stream, but it is girthy. It is heavy. And you can see, compared to my mouse, kind of a size comparison there, also with my hand, and this is a 27-inch monitor behind, gives you an idea. I do stream over on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/Moosestaffa, so please go check me out over there. You'll see me using this occasionally for my streams, as well as my other hardware, as we fly mostly commercial airliners, sometimes some GA stuff, but this will come in very handy for the Airbus line now, as opposed to using the Boeing yoke that I was using for the Airbus flying, because I didn't have a good stick. So, this is the Moza AB9 base. As of right now, I believe $549. The stick that we're going to show you is currently $79 retail, and the table clamp is $49 or $50 basically. The base itself is the base. It's got two motors in here that does the force feedback, because it's a force feedback base. That's important to note. You can mount it via these slot channels to do a side mount with the the mount they give you. You'll notice some little scuff marks here. This is critique number one. This channel, for some reason, is slightly smaller than this channel as far as like the space between. And I don't know if that's a weird manufacturer error on this particular unit or if they're all like that. So you can see the screws had a little harder time getting in. They were actually having to kind of screw in through the material here to even make contact with the studs that you can put in here and move around. But they had no problem on this side. So I don't know. They still go in. They still work. But I'm not sure what was up with that. So that's critique number one. The bottom here, you've got a USB port to plug in your USB. Also some expansion ports, I'm assuming to interact with other Moza gear, so you could only have to use one USB and they could all plug in here kind of like a hub. Obviously, I think you can always just plug in everything USB as well if you have your own USB equipment, but that's just an option. The power input right here is the DC power input. It comes with a very long cord and a very big brick, like a laptop would have, for a power supply to convert the AC to DC. And but props to Moza on this one. The cord is very long, so it's very easy to stretch it to wherever you need to get to it. And then you got a little power button here. This is a single click to turn on and a long click to turn off. So you just hold it down a little bit longer, let go, and you'll see the stick kind of droop as the power goes away from it. On the bottom, you'll notice we have some pads to help it with friction if you want to just sit it on your desk, which is absolutely a viable option considering how much this weighs. But there's also plenty of screw hole mounts down here that you can use with the mount that you get from Moza or third-party mounts if you so choose. Again, I want to warn you, based on the weight of this, with third-party mounts, make sure whatever you get is very robust, because you're going to need it, especially if this thing is sitting on it. You know, as weight goes out, the force on it goes up. It's like a lever, fulcrum. Think back to physics. So just be aware of that. This thing is very girthy and therefore could cause some issues there. So anyway, very nice. Kind of feels like a metal outside or aluminum outside casing. Probably so, considering the motors that are in here are very girthy and heavy. It's got a very nice leather protective cover over the shifting area right here, or the stick area. And this thing can be used as a shifter as well. So the AB9 base can be used in the racing world as a shifter. When you get it with the shifter side, it'll recognize that and will set it up to use it as that. So very cool option from Moza there. The stick is the MA3X, and that is this guy right here that they sent us. And this is designed to look like a commercial aviation stick, very similar to an Airbus style stick. Now, what you may notice, though, right off the bat, is this stick is in a right-hand configuration. And you know that because of this guy right here. Your hand's going to sit like that, and then your thumb is right up and down with the hat switch here. Can reach over easily for this. Can reach underneath for this little guy. right here, and then your trigger finger for the trigger, which is great if you fly this with your right hand. And whether that's because you have it set up to be right in between your legs, center like you would like a fighter, or if you're going to have it actually on your right and you're used to flying co-pilot styles with the Airbus. But if you're like most simmers, I feel, you're probably flying from the left seat, in which case you would be flying this with your left hand because your throttles are probably over on your right. And if your setup is simple enough to swap those around and do it that way, then all power to you. But mine is not. Mine is set up and kind of locked down as this is going to have to go on the left. So, now, that being said, it still feels very nice to fly with your left hand. It's not as nice, it's not as ergonomic as it would be to fly as designed with your right, but it's definitely not a game changer. I mean, definitely not a deal breaker. We're going to get into some things with the hat switch later on that we'll talk about with regard to that, but that's really the biggest critique here from the stick. The stick itself feels very nice. It's got a very nice smooth finish on it, so it feels very professional, very official. Doesn't feel like cheap plastic like a lot of other things can feel. It's got a very nice metal screw-on base to attach to here. There's an arrow on the, where is it? There was an arrow right there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Maybe if I get the light to hit it just right, there's a little bit of an arrow kind of embedded in that. And that arrow matches up with this little arrow right here. So you know which way to plug that cable in, and then this just screws on the top of it. So that's kind of my biggest critique with the handle, is it's only available right now in a right-hand configuration. I really hope they do release a left-hand version of this so that you could have that too. Those are really my only critiques, I think, from the actual physical hardware itself. We'll get into the rest of it here in a moment. We're going to hook it up to the desk and see what that looks like, and we'll check that out here in a second. All right, here you can see the Moza mounted on the desk. Now you'll notice I've got a curve to my desk that I have it where I have it mounted, and I want it in the corner there because I have to sit obviously on this side of it. And if you're flying in a typical Airbus configuration, it would be on your left as the captain, and I have my throttles over on my right, so I can't have them both over there, or I have a problem because I don't have two hands on one side of my body. But even with the curve, this thing is not right up against, like there's a gap right here, like I can get my finger in. There's not a gap over here, so it's right up into the curve. But even with this thing not making contact on the side the whole way, this thing, as much as it weighs, is absolutely solid as a rock. So this mount is fantastic. If you buy this thing, don't cheap out on the mount. You want to get the Moza mount that's designed for it. And the reason is because this thing is girthy. and it really is hard to convey in a video how girthy this is, but it does weigh quite a bit. And that's nice because it means it's very robust and is not likely to get damaged, but you want to make sure to do that. Now, you can use this with the left hand, which is fine. You don't have that kind of thing to rest on. There's a little bit here, and so your hand does naturally rest on it, but it still feels just as good. I have no issue flying this with my left hand, and it feels just fine. The one drawback to that I have found, and maybe it's just me, but with the hat switch, or the POV switch, whatever you want to call this, it does not have, it's an up, down, left, right axis only. Some hat switches actually have a, it's not axis is the wrong word, but some hat switches have an actual click spot on the 45s. So you would have down and down right, right, up, up. This one just has up, down, left, right. Best I can tell in trying to map this thing. The disadvantage to that is because I'm using my left hand, my thumb is now coming at the hat switch at a bit of an angle, because normally my thumb would be vertical on this. With the right hand, your thumb is on this side, but my thumb is having to kind of cross over now a little bit. And so what naturally is up to my thumb is actually kind of up and to the right, not straight up. And the effect this has is that when I push my thumb naturally up, sometimes my view goes upright. And I thought I can be clever. I can remap this and just make upright up, and I'll just pivot the entire thing 45 degrees. But because there's no 45 instances, you can't do that. So Again, minor little issue, and I'm sure the more I fly with this thing, the more I'll just get used to that POV. And more I'm using my mouse for a look around anyway. And I also have a Tobii eye tracker, so I could be doing it with that too. So, there's other issues that other things I can do to kind of work around that, and it's not a big deal. But the other thing is there is a button here if you push straight down on this, which is kind of nice. The downside is if you use that for something, if you're using the hat button for POV, you're going to find you're constantly accidentally pushing it as well. So you kind of either want to use it as a POV switch or a straight button. I think they gave you the option by doing that. You really don't want to do both because you're going to find you're going to frustrate yourself, I think, if you do that. The other downside to something like this, compared to, let's say, my TCA Boeing yoke that I have, that I fly most of my airliners with, is a lack of buttons. So in the sim world, buttons are life, and you do have several on here in the sense that you've got the trigger switch, you've got the red button here, the autopilot disconnect traditionally, and you also have the a bunch of buttons if you want to assign the POV options as different buttons. So that's an option too if you don't want to use that as a look around. And then of course the straight down button. But if you use that as POV, then you really are left with two other buttons, and that's enough to get you by. But on my yoke, I'll have buttons I have set up for autopilot disconnects, trims, and other things because they are rife with buttons, which is nice. So that's just a downside of something like this, where a stick just doesn't have a lot of room for buttons, and that's not really a Moza thing. That's just a stick thing, because in general sticks don't have a lot of space. There's not a lot of real estate for it. So I don't. Again, not a huge thing, but something to consider if you're used to having a bunch of buttons mapped somewhere. Of course, you've got your keyboard, so you can map that to your little heart's content and do that. Or if you want to map stuff to a Stream Deck like I have here, and you have options. So, but it feels even with this. I'm gonna try to scoot in here a little bit. Oh, as I hit the camera. Not used to having a camera right here, but my chair has an adjustable armrest, and I can rest my arm on the chair and be level with the stick, which this is the big thing for me. I've had a stick before, and I thought, I'll use the stick to fly Airbus, and I never did because this is what I was using. I'm going to bring this over. This is the Thrustmaster TCA 16000, which is what the Airbus TCA Captain's pack is built off. It's basically just painted blue, and the top looks a little different. And first of all, this thing has a nice hard return in the center, which makes it really difficult to fly smoothly. This gets away from that, and we'll see that in a little bit. It is rife with buttons, which is nice, but there's no way to really, you had to go, I never really had a good way to mount this thing, and so I just had to keep it on top of the desk, which means my arm had to kind of float in the air to use it, and that's very fatiguing after a while. And if you look at an Airbus cockpit, they've got the armrest right coming off of where the side stick is, and so your arm could just kind of rest there, and it just feels real natural. So flying with this, with my my gaming chair armrest right there, feels very natural. It just, when you've got it turned up, right now it's very loose because nothing's turned on at the moment, but it just feels really good. So we're gonna do some flights with this thing in just a little bit, and you'll get to see how this thing reacts. I will real quick though. I'm gonna turn this on, and I'm gonna show you it's gonna go through its little power cycle. Down here on the bottom, there's a little button. You just push it. You long press it to turn it back off, and it's gonna go through its little cycle there. There we go. And you're going to see it's actually going to impact ever so slightly because I have it just barely set where it's going to touch right there. Boom. And so it's not really the best for it. So, and then it comes back. That's what you want to be careful of, is if you got it too much higher. And so now it's stiff. It's not, because I'm not in a game, it's just providing a little bit of resistance to me. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the software, and then we're going to take it into the sky and we'll show you that. All right, this is the software you'll get when you open up the Moza cockpit software, which is for the flight stuff. One little critique I have regarding the website is Moza is not normally known for racing gear. And so when you go to the website to go get the software, the download section, you're greeted with the software, which just says Moza Racing. And so you think, okay, I guess that's the software we get for all this, because this can also be used, the AB9 base can be used as a shifter and stuff like that. So I went and downloaded the software and loaded it up, and there was nothing about the flight stick. It wasn't working. It wasn't talking to it right. And I'm going, what the heck is going on? I went and back and looked at someone else's video to try and see, and I noticed their software looked different than mine. And I finally realized there said Moza Cockpit up at the top. I went, oh my gosh. So I had to scroll down the page a bit on the website and go, oh, there's different software down here. So it wasn't immediately intuitive that, hey, if you're here for flight stuff, go here. You have to scroll down. I would kind of more put those like side by side, so you can kind of go, oh, there's two to choose from. Because not being in the Moza world before, I didn't know. So I know now. So hope to try and save you guys some headache. But for flight stuff, you want Moza Cockpit, not Moza Racing. Or Moza Pit House, I guess is what the other one's called. So, yeah, just know that. But once you get this, if you've got everything plugged in and hooked up, it should detect your equipment. So in this case, we've got the AB9 hooked up. We've got the MA3X, which is the commercial style stick there. You can see there's some other stuff, the rudder pedals and the throttle panel there that they have that you could also get. And then it'll show you some games that it has on here that you can configure Moza for. Right now, I've only configured it so far for Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's what I use this with. I have not used it yet with 2024 because I've got stutter issues with 24. That's a whole other issue. But you also see X-Plane 12, X-Plane 11 here, and then some other stuff like DCS and Sturmovik and stuff like that. So anyway, it's really simple though to click on this, go to config, and it will just want to validate where your install is, and then it will tell you, hey, you're configured. You can launch the game from here if you wish. I mean, that's an option, but you'll see the Steam thing. I've got the Windows version there. But so anyway, you can do that. To configure your stuff, click on the, in this case, the AB9 base, and you will see all the different things here that you can mess with. This is the basic settings. Obviously, you can go into expert and go in really deep into the weeds here on all kinds of stuff. This is what's really cool about this software is it's so incredibly configurable. You can get in and just go day one, or you can really dive into the various things, dynamic force feedback stuff. If you want to turn this on here, telemetry, force feedback, axis travel stuff, all kinds of things. I mean, you've got settings up the wazoo that you can play with. And I'm not going to go through these because I don't even know them very well. I haven't messed with them very much because I would have to take the time to get into the weeds on this. So I'm sure there's people out there that have tutorials for this. That's not what this video is about. This is more of a review. But you have a lot of customization. Now, what is really cool is if you're like me and like I want to get in and try this thing and I don't know how to set any of this up. You can go and grab other people's profiles if they have them. Now down here, you'll see a list of presets. And it comes with a whole bunch of these. These are all the ones that it came with. But I trust V1, who has a YouTube channel. He's an actual Airbus 320 driver. And so he got this, and he set up a profile customized to make the stick feel as close to him as it does in the real airplane. And so I figure that's probably a good one to go with. So in order to put the, here's this one here, V1 CEO Airbus. And so all you have to do is hit load presets, real simple. But to get it in this list, what you're going to do is you're going to download the preset from wherever you go and get it from your buddy or Discord or whatever it is. You're going to find the software. In my case, it installed, I probably tried to install into program files or program files x86. I don't put anything in here anymore because Windows decided to get stupid a few years ago and starts putting all kinds of protections and locks on these things. And sometimes it has issues communicating with stuff in here and it just causes problems. And in the flight sim world, the more things that you have external to the sim and the more things that can cause problems, the more issues you're going to have. So take it from me, recommendation. If you ever give an option to not put something in here, don't do it. Just put it on your C drive. Just save yourself some headache. That might solve a lot of your problems. Moza Cockpit is the folder that we're looking for. You want to go up to bin and then official preset, and you'll see all these presets in here, and you just drop that, in my case, V1 CEO Airbus.preset, into this folder, and then restart the software to make sure it shows up, and then there you go. So we just say load preset, confirm, And now if we come back here to the AB9 base, you see preset V1 CEO Airbus. And so all his preset stuff is in here. And it doesn't feel that much different yet, but in the sim, it feels light years different. In fact, I went to do a flight with the Airbus and I forgot to do this step. And I was flying going, why does it feel, this doesn't feel like I remember it when I did this the first time. It feels a lot looser and it's not as tight and it doesn't feel as good. And then it dawned on me and I went to the software and sure enough it was using default. And I turned it on mid-flight and went, oh, there it is. That's what I missed. So yeah, you can, having the right settings and presets for something like this will absolutely make or break your experience. So make sure before you decide, oh, this is crap, which hopefully you don't decide this is crap, because I mean, for the price, it definitely is not. But make sure you've tuned your system, whether that is through someone's preset or you've done it yourself. If you absolutely can't get it to where you like it, then okay, fine, you be the judge. But I think it's fantastic. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you this in the flight sim. We're going to load up an Airbus and I'm going to do a takeoff and a landing, and we'll have a camera view of this so you can see how it works. There's not, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a ton of action because, you know, it's just a little stick, but you might see it and go, oh yeah, that looks really good. So we'll give it a shot. We'll see you there. All right, you joined me here in the Airbus A320. This is the Phoenix A320 in LaGuardia, New York. We are just lining up on runway 4 and steering the aircraft currently with my Blackbird tiller. Highly recommend, but that's not what this video is about. But we're going to line up here. We're going to take off. We're going to do a little circuit here in LaGuardia. We'll probably cut to the parts where I'm flying for the most part, but and we'll see this thing in action. Hopefully this works. All right, we're going to stop right here. We're going to get our aircraft configured, lights on, strobe on, and everything else should be set to go. We're flaps 3 departure, and you can see here this thing is beautiful. You can actually see it moving the little crosshair here. So we're gonna fly this up. I'm just gonna take it straight out. We're gonna make a left turn toward Manhattan and just kind of fly back down the East River, and then do an approach onto runway 3. The winds are variable at 4, so we can basically do whatever runway we want. So I'm gonna do the RNAV X-ray into 3-1, which is the park visual, the RNAV version of the park visual, and bring it back in onto runway 3-1. So here we go. Let's give it a shot. We're doing flex takeoff here. Man flex, SRS, thrust ref blue. Knots. There's V1, rotate. And it's just so incredibly smooth. Positive rate, gear up. At 500 feet, we'll start a turn. I'm not worrying about the lateral on the flight director because I didn't set it to do anything. I'm just visually flying. Thrust climb. Flaps 2. Flaps 1. Flaps up. You just see it. I mean, it just. I mean, I'm making such small movements on the stick, and I can make really fine movements on the stick because there's a lot of resistance there, and so it just feels so natural. Like, one of the biggest things in flight sim is controls tend to be really twitchy. I'm just going to go ahead and man thrust this because we're going to get really fast really quickly. But controls tend to be really twitchy, and so you find you're needing to make small movements to make it smooth, to make the aircraft smooth, but you feel like you're always like trying to jerk around. So with this, I'm not having to do much, but it also doesn't feel like I need to do much because there's so much resistance on the stick. It feels okay to make small movements, whereas I would have to be really fighting my instinct to push the stick over more. Because again, on a stick, you don't have as much range of motion as you would on a yoke. So you're already going to be making small moves. So you can see my hand. I'm not making very large movements here, but I have very fine control of the aircraft. And if I was really caring about following that flight director to the letter, I would be able to put that center peg right on the center of that flight director and just hold it there very easily. And it would not be a problem. But I can. But what this stick does is it makes hand flying the aircraft just a dream. I mean, you want to hand fly. I mean, and New York is just beautiful. This is Sam Scene Manhattan, by the way, so your default stock sim won't look like this. But so go get Sam Scene Manhattan. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's Freedom Tower there. We just did a 9/11 tribute yesterday on stream, and the weather here in New York was absolutely beautiful. So it's kind of what I wanted to do this over here. We're flying a JetBlue Airbus too, so it makes sense to do it in New York. Gotta watch my speed here since I'm not in auto. So we're just gonna bring this around and kind of lazily enter the park visual, which I'm basically doing as the RNAV X-ray. Probably stop climbing there. And because I can rest my arm on the armrest, oh, good grief. Gotta love Microsoft Flight Simulator. It'll come back in a second, I'm sure. So all my scenery goes to pot. There we go. Yeah. So we overflew the intro here, but we'll get back on and do it on Shay. Because I can just rest my hand, you know, you enjoy hand flying with the stick. And then because the movements, you can be so fine with them, it just makes it so much better. And it's really hard to demonstrate on camera because, like I said, the movements are so small, and I can't translate the feeling of the resistance via the camera. So we're coming up on Shay here. And again, it doesn't know I'm at Shay, so the flight director is not going to line up. I'm just going to kind of do this haphazardly with the what we normally call the magenta line. In this case, it's the neon green line. I need to slow down a little bit here too, or we're going to have a problem. Speed brakes on. We're in flaps 2 at the moment. There's the runway.
1,000.
1,000 to go. And flap full. Turns are actually a little tight. There's the stadium. There's the baseball stadium.
Speed, speed, speed.
This is where I botched this because I'm trying to do it by hand.
Speed, speed, speed.
Yeah, I know.
$500.
Think rate.
Yeah.
Think rate.
This landing is not by the book by any stretch of the imagination.
Think rate.
I land
Pull
much better
up.
when I do this for realsies
Pull
on
up.
stream.
30,
And it's a short runway too, so this is gonna be fun.
20. Retard.
There we go. And we survived. Yeah, that's what flying by the seat of your pants gets you. But still, I mean, it looked pretty good, all things considered, flying with this stick. And again, it just makes it so much fun to do. So, and I'm sitting here trying to commentate at the same time and not really paying attention. Don't have anything set up, so I don't know what my V speeds are or anything like that. So, again, flying by the seat of your pants. But the point being here is this thing just feels so good. So good. So if you are looking for a really nice stick, and I've never, and I got to caveat this because you're talking to somebody who has never enjoyed flying with a side stick. I'm a yoke guy. I'm a Boeing guy. I'm a yoke guy. I love the yoke. Love to feel the yoke. I've never been all that enthused about flying with a stick, and I'm not that enthused about flying the Airbus. Not because of the stick, but the Airbus more because there's just not a lot to do. It's so automated. It's cool, but it's just very automated, and someone who likes the old school flying. However, all that being said, this thing has made me want to fly the Airbus more. This thing has made me want to get in and do a lot more with the bus, because it feels so good, and I feel like I'm flying the airplane like I should be, as opposed to using a yoke, obviously. But even more so than with that Thrustmaster stick, which it'll get the job done. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, a joystick's a joystick. But if you want a kind of a Cadillac of joysticks, especially one that's designed to kind of look and feel and operate like an Airbus stick, Moza's got you covered right here. This is awesome. I really do hope they come out with a left-hand option for this. I don't know if that's in the cards, because I think that would make more sense for this particular device to be left-hand oriented than right. I mean, obviously, if you're going to fly this thing over here and shift this over there and move my Bravos over the other side, then this makes total sense. But you know, I think most of us in the flight sim world are flying over here, so it just feels more natural to have that there. And then the red button would be over here, the hat switch would be over here, it would be on the right side, it would be on the correct side, and all of that. So, but yeah, this just, it feels, and it looks like it's got a similar range of motion. There's a little bit of a delay there. That's the sim and how Phoenix is interpreting my controls and movements, but the range of motion is very similar to what I've got here, and thanks to the V1 profile, it's stiff. There's not a hard people. I don't know how people describe this. It's not a detent, but there's not a hard stop in the center. Like there's no like firm like yes I'm in the center, but it naturally lands there, and so you don't have to worry about like as you go through the center. A lot of times the axes are built on two pieces that are doing this, and when you hit that center point, you're trying to kind of move these things in a different way, and there's a clunkiness to it, and it really makes it hard to go through the center and be smooth. Not so with this. This thing is smooth in all points. It just is. I can't get over how this feels. So, for the few minor faults that it has, which again I stress are minor, this thing's amazing. So, like I said, if you're looking for a good stick and a force feedback stick at that, this is your go-to. And I really want to try the shifter version of this because it's the same base, it's just a shifter, and the motors simulate the H pattern, and you feel like you've got actual gates. It's I don't know how they do it. It's incredible from what I've seen. I haven't tried it myself. I really want to try it. So anyway, yeah, if you're looking for a good stick, I think Moza's got you covered with this one. This is really good. So a couple points for Moza if they watch this. Left-hand stick. That's my main critique. Left-hand stick would be really good. Otherwise, I think you knocked it out of the park. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. You can catch me over on Twitch streaming usually Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Normally streaming airliners, but I do a range of stuff from Airbus to Boeing to MD-80 to Fokkers to whatever. We've got a really great community over there. Twitch.tv/Moosestaffa is the channel. I also have a YouTube channel where I do some tutorials. Specifically right now, I've got one for the MD-80 and the MD-11, a big tutorial series. Another big tutorial series is coming out in the 727 here in a few days. I'm in the middle of working on that right now. So be on the lookout for that. Would love a sub and a follow, or a sub and a like on YouTube. It's a follow over on Twitch. Of course, you can sub over on Twitch too, but not required. All right. Check out the Moza AB9 base and the Airbus stick, which I can never remember the name of this thing. The stick is called the MA3X. I always want to call it the 10 for something, but I don't know why. MA3X is the name of the stick. The AB9 is the base, and it's absolutely fantastic. So check it out. We'll see you on the next one.